Hey guys, what is up? It is your friendly neighbor Rubius here, and I'm going to do another ranked commentary, this time on a game that I played, Kotol. I played 4 games of Kotol last night. This is one of the 4, and I personally just want to make this video to talk about Kotol after the 6.81 update, as well as, of course, kind of do some theory crafting with the Aghanim Scepter upgrade, because that is, I think, it is probably one of the strongest Aghanims in the entire game. So, we're going to be watching this game from my perspective, and it's just going to be, you know, standard gameplay, whatever. I'll be touching on some things that I do, some small things that you might not notice, as well as, of course, just watching myself playing the game to see what I can improve. But the first thing I want to talk about is a theory craft sort of thing. Obviously, when people saw the Aghanim Scepter upgrade, pretty much 90% of people were like, okay, this is a really, really strong upgrade, but you know, then that poses the question: how will Kotol actually get the farm for it if he's being played as a support? So I want to first touch on the fact that Ancient Apparition is played as a support, of course, in the current metagame, and he is a very high pick, and he actually farms up an Aghanim Scepter in most of the games that he's in, and he farms them up very quickly. He generally will get an Ags done at a pretty reasonable time in almost all games, and comparing to AA, also sorry for some replay bugs, they might happen occasionally, obviously because we're watching a replay, but anyway, is the camera, I feel like it's zoomed in a bit, I don't know, this is weird. I'm gonna go free camera and then back to player perspective. Okay, that should fix it. That should definitely fix it. Alright, so AA is picked up in the pro scene. He has absolutely no way of farming quickly. All he has to do is last hit, right? He hits creeps, they die, he gets gold. He doesn't have a spell that increases his farming rate. This is annoying. I think I can fix it by jumping back 10 seconds, so I'm sorry. The replay bugs are annoying. And I don't want to deal with them. So, AA gets his Aghanim Scepter up pretty quick, and he has no way to actually farm it. Kotol, on the other hand, has one of the best farming abilities in the entire game. Of course, 500 damage is a lot to creeps, especially in a gigantic AoE. So, Kotol could very easily get his Ags up sooner than an AA could, and have similar impact in the game. Of course, the reason that you are okay with AA farming Ags is because, you know, if there's a team fight happening like over here by Dire Tier 2 or something, then your AA will be farming up top lane all the way over here. He can toss in an ulti while he's farming up his Ags. Right, that's the idea. Well, Kotol can do a similar thing. He won't have a big impact on the team fight, but what he will do is he'll actually get a lot of push done, which sometimes can be better. Obviously, it depends on team comp. If your team wants to team fight a lot, then it won't work out too well. But in most situations, it's pretty much okay. So, there's that. Then the other thing is the Ag Scepter upgrade worth it? So let's talk over what the Ags does for him. It gives him permanent spirit form, and what that does, of course, in case you are not knowing, or are not a Kotol master, don't play Kotol, it allows you to always use his additional spells, Recall and Blinding Light, and Illuminate will always be charged by a ghost or a spirit, so you don't have to stand there while channeling. You can move around and cast other spells and do whatever. So what that means, of course, is that you have a 15-second cooldown, 3-second delay, like, pull-in. Furion's really fucking annoying to lane against, but he's completely out of mana here. I kind of wanted to bait the mana usage, but I succeeded. And then you have the Blinding Light, 12-second cooldown, 5-second duration. So, the first thing I want to touch on is, obviously past the permanent spirit form, you also gain the benefit of unobstructed daytime vision, similar to Night Stalker's Aghanim Scepter during the night. And past that, you also have Illuminate will heal for 75% of its damage value to all allied units that are caught in it during the day. That is only a daytime thing, so that doesn't happen at night. But the first thing I want to touch on is that Illuminate, when you have Ags, right, and you're going to do that, that's a 375 heal AoE to whoever's caught in it. It also is a 500 damage nuke to all enemies caught in it. It's not quite 500, of course, because innate magic resistance is roughly 1/4. So, it deals more in the realm of, well, I guess 1/4 is minus 125, so or 375. Yeah, that's right. I'm dumb. So, whatever. The math is pretty straightforward. So anyway, what this means is that in a team fight, if you get a 10-man Illuminate, which you can, because you can stand in it yourself very easily, because again, it's being charged by a spirit. What it ends up being is it's a 3750 life point swing if it hits 10 targets, right? Because it will heal all allied targets for 375, and it'll damage all enemy targets for 375, right? So 375 times 10, 3750. That is the highest single life point swing ability in the entire game. The only exception, of course, being if Crystal Maiden's ultimate hits like everything, right? Obviously, you can think of examples otherwise, but this is the easiest to hit, ridiculously high damage swing ability in the game. All the other things rely on RNG, or like the stars have to align. This one, you just have to throw it in a spot that there's going to be battling, and your team can very easily force the battling to actually happen in that area if need be. Or at the very least, your team can just stand in it. So here we're like, okay, I think we can kill him. And then I thought I should have hit him there, but I didn't. So that's obviously the first thing. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the power of recall. So obviously Spectre is pretty much the hard carry of choice, like hard carry of choice currently, and that's mostly because of the fact that she can have 3 lives in a team fight, where you'll fight, she'll die with Aegis, respawn with the Aegis, and then die again after fighting more, buyback, haunt, reality in. That's her main strength. Obviously she has strength otherwise, but that is probably the biggest strength of the hero. And if that were available on other heroes, there's a very good chance that those other heroes might be overpowered. So, when you have permanent spirit form, you can do exactly that situation with any single carry in the game. It's on a 3-second delay, so it's not as immediate as Spectre. It doesn't cause the chaos that Haunt does, but the fact of the matter is, you're, let's say, Anti-Mage, right? Anti-Mage is battling. Anti-Mage is a very good battler, right? He's very, very good at team fighting, you know, where he just jumps in, mantas, attacks a lot of things, ultis, stuff like that, right? He's very good without the necessity of cooldowns, because a lot of his damage just comes from right clicks with the mana break. So Anti-Mage goes in, he dies, Aegis pops. He's still fighting after he respawns, dies, you recall him in, and then he keeps fighting. The whole time he's burning mana, jumping around. It's insanely powerful. It just does ridiculous stuff. So, basically, if you can just imagine having 3 lives on any single hero in the game, I think that that's pretty powerful. And I think that's definitely, that alone is definitely worth the Ag Scepter. And this is, I'm really sad about this. The Kunkka, like, didn't hit a creep with Tidebringer. He did there, but it was way too late. And here I thought he ran to the right. But, yeah, so, like, you have the 3 lives, you have the 1.5 mech from Illuminate, plus potential 3,750 life point swing. You then also have Blinding Light. So if we want to talk about Blinding Light is a 5-second duration, 12-second cooldown on an 80% miss chance on auto attacks, as well as slight repositioning. What that breaks down to, it's roughly a 40% uptime, a little more than 40% uptime, and it reduces the damage from auto attacks by it reduces the damage by auto attacks from auto attacks by roughly 80%. Again, very, very rough, because, you know, RNG is going to make it slightly different. Here I single pulled. I did want to pull through, but in hindsight, it was actually fine that I single pulled because we can push on this wave since it has a catapult. And Furion can't really defend anymore. Also, it seems like he went to the jungle. So, 40% uptime, 80% reduction. That means that it is a grand total of 1/3 damage reduction from auto attacks in team fights, assuming no BKBs, of course. Which there will be BKBs, you know, like, it's not perfect. That's what I'm saying, roughly. But it can be gigantic. If you're facing a non-BKB carry, Anti-Mage is a good example. Anti-Mage very rarely builds BKB. The only time he really does is... Oh, and I didn't want to attack because I wanted to get more regen from Tranquils. But the only time Anti-Mage really buys a BKB is when you're fighting some variety of heroes that have a lot of CC effects. And I mean a lot. It really takes a lot for Anti-Mage to really want to build other things. Because he can just, in most situations, he can just like Manta split if it's a silence or do stuff like that. So if you're facing Anti-Mage, it's almost a 30% reduction on the hero. Obviously he has mana break, so it's not quite that simple, but it's still a lot, right? So that's like theorycraft of his abilities with Aghanim Scepter, and I think that alone pretty much proves how strong it is. But if we want to go deeper, we can, which we should, because theory crafting is a good way to make people actually think about stuff. So Kotol obviously is not exactly the best laner. You either push the lane super hard or you don't really harass with your ability. So that's why he works really, really well with heroes who have spammable nukes. Obviously, Phantom Lancer is the best example of this. His Q being a... How much damage is it? Like 300 damage nuke on a very short cooldown that costs a bunch of mana, which PL can't actually support. So when you're playing Kotol, you can support him by giving him Chakra Magic every time it's off cooldown, and that is really good. So he supplements his weak-ish laning by supporting strong laners, if that makes sense. He makes strong laners stronger in most situations. He can also do this. This is something else that's really important. Another weak laner, which is a great example because she's picked up a decent amount in the pro scene, Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden is a fairly weak laner. She's good at coming from the jungle into the lane to gank, but she is fairly weak at just being, you know, lane in the lane. Also, this bothers me, because this Kunkka, I don't remember what he did. He did something that I was like, he could have done something different. Or was that later? I don't remember. I think it was later, because, yeah, Slurk seems fine. I think it's coming up right here, actually. Let's see. No, I absolutely do not remember at all. Okay, never mind. I thought I remembered something, but I didn't. So, Crystal Maiden. Not exactly a strong laner. She has, you know, decent auto attack range, but not a lot of damage. And her spells are great for killing, but not very good for harass, due to cooldown as well as mana cost. So she's very strong at taking farm out of the jungle, which is definitely something that's, I think, undervalued, but will be very important. Look at this boat, though. I think it's very undervalued right now, but I think it will become important as time goes on. Obviously it is important because pros still pick accordingly. Like, they'll pick Crystal Maiden because she can farm the jungle a lot. And this is pretty much the turnaround. He got a 3-man call with Illuminate hitting on 3. And yeah, trap this guy in. So basically, Kotol can run the role of Crystal Maiden, where he can take farm out of the jungle just by using Illuminate. Obviously, he can't do it from level 1 like Crystal Maiden can, but it's very, very easy to just get level 2 off of pulling, and then you can actually farm up the small camp if your carry can keep the lane under control, and that ends up being better for you in the long run. As long as your carry can keep lane equilibrium towards the tower, then not pulling and just farming the small camp is actually better. So the fact that you can pull farm out of the jungle, you can supplement strong laners, and obviously the benefits of getting to the mid to late game are incredibly high. So I think that all of that makes Kotol a very strong pick. Also, by level 8, this is something else I wanted to talk about. I think level 8 having this is very good. Obviously, it depends on what's going on. You could go for a point in spirit form earlier, and then we dove way too hard. But I think you could go for a point in spirit form earlier, but I personally think that you really just want to max out Illuminate. And in order to actually use max Illuminate, you really do need to have max Chakra Magic. It's just too tough. The boat. I remember seeing this boat. It was a good one. So, the other thing is, even though he is a weak laner because he pushes, that can also help him in being a stronger, not laner, but stronger hero. Because when people rotate, for example, when Furion went to the jungle and he was just missing from the lane, that was a perfect time for Kotol to be, you know, the support in that lane. Because then we pushed the tower really hard and we killed a tier 1 a lot quicker than, you know, than you would in just a standard duo lane. Obviously, if you really want to take buildings, also Slark just kills me. So this is something that bothered me. The Necrophos bought wards like at the 10-minute mark and then didn't place them. He had them in his inventory for a while, and it annoyed me especially because I checked the shop to go buy observer wards right after dying in the bot lane, and they were out of stock because Necro bought them. But anyway, in a standard duo lane, like the only time that you'll really, I was streaming at the time, so I'm explaining that I think this is one of the worst ward spots on the bottom rune. It can be good, but I don't think it's very good in most situations. Trying to think. Right. So in most situations, taking down a tier 1 tower requires like a Chen or an Enchantress to rotate into the lane, and then you push, right? That's the usual. Kotol doesn't actually need somebody to rotate. As long as the guy leaves lane or just backs up a lot, Kotol can just illuminate the wave. And if you're paying attention to how long you're channeling it, you can actually leave all of the creeps alive with 1 hit left, so your carry can still get farm. It's a lot harder, well, a lot easier said than done, of course, but with some practice you can always set up last hits for your carry, even when pushing with Illuminate. So I think that there's a lot of strength to that. This courier almost died. So now that we've pretty much moved past most of the theoretical stuff, let's start talking about the game, what I've done in this game. Obviously in the laning phase, I didn't do too much. We were just facing an offlaner, and it was okay, whatever. Like, you know, our lane did fine. Kunkka got decent farm. We could have gone for a lot more kills if Kunkka had 2 points in X, but he decided to max out Torrent instead of getting points in X. Whatever, you know. Some people build badly, you just have to adapt to it. And then what I did after our lane pretty much ended, I was really shocked that didn't hit the catapult. It looked like it should have. Past the laning phase, what I did, obviously we rotated to bottom for a team fight. I had at least 1 very good Illuminate over the top, and then I just chased with right clicks. Kotol has a very high base move speed. As you can see, Tranquil's being broken. Tranquil's being broken still gives a lot of move speed, but with broken Tranquils, I have 375 move speed, which is very, very, very high. And looks like Slark is gonna die. They're just gonna walk at him into the woods. But a lot of the strength of Kotol is the fact that you have so much mobility. So if you can just walk around and auto attack people, you can pretty much always catch somebody with auto attacks. So here I used my ultimate just so I could try and bounce him back. And I made sure to release that when it would hit him. And then I wanted to recall somebody, but we actually just have 5 heroes here. So we didn't need to. I don't know why he shift queued his call when he very easily could have actually killed that thing. Also, this is why that cliff is very bad for a ward spot. It's a super common spot to de-ward. If you put your ward actually on this cliff over here, on the dire area, obviously a bit more south, but I'm in player perspective so you can't quite see. But if you put it a little bit lower on the dire cliff, that almost never gets de-warded. Because you can't de-ward that spot. Like, that's where he put his second ward to reward this bottom rune. But that spot almost never gets de-warded because a lot of times people will try to get value out of their sentries so they can check multiple ward spots. So you'll either put it on the rune to try to check the bottom right cliff and the just straight right cliff. Also, this bothered me. I hit quick buy when I was in the secret shop. Obviously it should buy point booster, but apparently it has a very, very small delay, so it bought a Staff of Wizardry instead, and I got really bothered. But like the spot with the eyeball on it, as well as the cliff that Necro initially put his ward, that normally gets a sentry ward. They place it on the rune spot, and you can get both those spots. Or you can put it on the radiant cliff, like between the turtle and that ward spot, and then you can deward the turtle and that ward spot. So basically nobody will ever be able to check 2 deward spots if you put your ward where this one is now, on the dire cliff. And here, the SF farmed on his way out. So that's warding. Apparently they had a ward here. Did I know that? I don't remember. But a lot of the stuff with Kotol is just be mobile, especially with recall. Make your teammates mobile, and just get good illuminates. A lot of the illuminate positioning is practice and prediction, which a lot of Dota is practice and prediction as well. So you know that's perfectly fine. With practice, you can very easily hit a very large percentage of your illuminates. And as you can see, I'm already very close. I am taking farm here. Oh, right, no, I released it so they could get it instead. I still got the range, but I am getting quite a bit of farm. My team is just dying. Team is feed. Send help. But as you can see, I'm already over halfway to the Ags, and we're at 18 minutes in. And in lane, I took, what, like 2 range creeps or something? Like, I only have 48 CS, which is not even that high. But you can pretty much always get your Ags up. Obviously, I'm not buying wards. I talked to Necro. He was basically asking if I should get mech, and you know, shit like that. What should he get? And the discussion ended up with basically we agreed that I should get Ags as fast as possible. He'll buy wards and mech, and that's pretty much what we did. So here's another team fight breaking out. I send an Illuminate from there down diagonally. That would have hit them all if I released it a little bit sooner, which I should have done. So that's definitely a mistake. And then here, I wanted to recall Axe, but he just TP'd in anyway, so it didn't matter. And then here's an Illuminate going over the top. I bump him back into it to make sure it hits. That's a very important thing to know about Deafening, or not Deafening Blast, Blinding Light. Blinding Light does have the knockback of 250 units, which is substantial, given the AoE is also very large. It always has a 250 knockback. Unlike Flame Break, which has both a travel time and the knockback depends on how close to the center they are, it always knocks back 250 and it's instant. So that is insanely powerful. Obviously, everybody who watches Pro Dota has seen Ake cliff people in the Roche pit, right? That is only possible with Blinding Light. Like, maybe you could do it with a perfect Flame Break, but with Blinding Light, you can actually do it very easily. And here I got upset at myself because I knew we were going to kill this tower and I knew I would have had enough for Ags. But as you can see, my Ags is done before the 21-minute mark. Obviously, it's not on me. It's not assembled, but I have all of the items before the 21-minute mark, which is super fast. And then Furion kills our courier. So now, the next time it dings daytime, which will be at the 24-minute mark, just a little bit after, actually. So that's something that's worth knowing as Kotol, to make your Illuminates as powerful as possible, as potent as possible at all times. You have to know, even though the day-night cycle is 4 minutes, it takes until, like, well, it delays the longer the game goes. So it won't turn day at the 24-minute mark. It will turn day at the, like, 24:01.5. It always is just a little bit longer, and it delays as the game goes on, I think, because the first nighttime is at the 4-minute mark, like on the dot, I'm pretty sure. But then it gets longer as the game goes on. So that's very important for knowing when you're going to get your heal out of your Illuminate, because if you start channeling the Illuminate during nighttime, but it releases during day, it will heal. So that's important because that means that when you're pushing the high ground, you want to, if it's nearing the 24-minute mark and you want to push high ground, you want to start channeling your Illuminate at like 23:57. roughly, so that it releases a little bit after daytime begins, because then you'll get the heal on your creeps and everything. So let's talk about his other skill, Mana Leak, because obviously I finally picked it up. I haven't used it yet, but I picked it up. So this spell, the reason that you don't pick this up early, at least I don't, is because level 1 Mana Leak is bad. It does nothing. The range is less than your auto attack. It's 550, and you'll never actually drain enough mana for it to stun at level 1, unless the enemy hero is like a Phantom Assassin and like runs a marathon, something like that. Kunkka just like walked in aggressively enough to get glimpsed, and I don't know why. Just have no idea. But level 4 Mana Leak is very strong. So obviously the issue is that I do cast it here. I mean, you still want to use it in fights. You have the mana to do so, but it's still very weak at low levels, and I got deleted by a Slark. So we did end up killing a bunch, but not enough. Does Axe die here? Oh yeah, he takes one down and dies, and then there's a gem on the deck. So basically, Mana Leak, what it does, in case you didn't know, I guess I should probably explain that before explaining how bad it is. What it does is it works kind of like Rupture, except there's no initial bit. All it does is it drains a percentage of mana. Actually, no, that's right. It's not even flat mana. No, it's a percentage of their max mana, right? Yeah. So it's a percentage of their max mana, depending on how far they move over the duration. And then if they run out of mana with the debuff on them, then they get stunned for, you know, the amount of time based on the level. So it is incredibly strong. Also, that's something... Wait. Oh yeah, I picked up a 2nd point in Mana Leak before 2nd point in Spirit Form. Because at the time... I don't remember. I mean, multiple levels in Spirit Form is good, but it's probably not as good as maxing out Mana Leak first. It's probably better to keep this at 1 until Mana Leak is actually maxed. Because it does scale pretty well, because it scales the Recall and the Blinding Light, but until you have level 3 it doesn't get ridiculous, so not sure. But yeah, Mana Leak, really, really strong as the game progresses, because level 4 Mana Leak has insane cast range of 1000, the stun duration is huge, and the percentage of mana is huge, and the duration is huge. So level 4, very strong, level 1, very weak. It scales incredibly well, but unfortunately it still doesn't scale as well as your other abilities. So that's Mana Leak in a nutshell. So now it's daytime, as you can see. So now what I'm going to do a lot of times is I want us to be battling. As long as we're team fighting, then... Also, I saw that. Yeah, I saw the guy go up and place the ward. He went into the fog of war to place it, but when he came back out, he didn't have a ward, so I knew exactly where it was. But, like, watch this. So, this Illuminate's going to go out. It's going to kill the entire enemy creep wave and heal mine to full. Unfortunately, there was Ignite on them, so they're still taking a bunch of damage. But it still pushes insanely strong. Like, the push from Illuminate during the day is super, super, super strong. And there, I'm just pushing as hard as I can. I'm getting last hits and stuff. So in this game, our team has a decent amount of AoE and a decent amount of good, like, clumping, I guess you could say, for a team fight, as well as the enemy team. This is a very, very good situation for a Kotol. Mostly. The only downside is Slark. Slark is Kotol's nightmare, which really, really sucks, because Slark is actually a very strong hero right now. But the reason that Slark is so good against Kotol is that he can remove the Blinding Light, he can ignore the Illuminate just by using his ultimate. He, again, can remove Mana Leak. I'm pretty sure he can remove Mana Leak. He should be able to. I never used it on him because I always assumed it did, so I'm not sure. And of course, Kotol is very squishy and can't really escape out of things very well. So I Mana Leaked the Ogre, and the Illuminate actually did hit the Shadow Fiend. So the Prophet ulti's coming through. I line up another Illuminate, and I'm saying to my team, like, group up inside it or whatever, and then I hit the SF again, so he's been hit by 2 Illuminates already. He even bottled up after the first one, and he just has to actually walk all the way back to base because he's so low. Another good Illuminate. It's going to go through, heal, as well as kill the creeps. And as you can see, our wave still has a ton of health, even though it was the only wave tanking that tower. This creep is the only one that's low. And as you see, I'm watching the timer. Obviously this time I wasn't. In most situations I'm going to be watching the timer, so my Illuminate can actually hit the creeps right when they spawn. Also, always watch other people's mana bars. If you can give somebody else mana, then do it. You do need mana, but you have plenty of regen and mana pool for the most part. As long as you're not using Illuminate every cooldown off cooldown. And even if you are, you should be able to chakra magic somebody else every couple Illuminates. Every couple chakra magics, that is. So my team is like still in the base for some reason. I still don't know why. I think they ended up like all dying or something right at the end. Yeah. Kunkka, I guess, lives. And here's the other thing that Kotol's very good at. Obviously, people hate Rat Dodo, and this is a great way to counter a Rat Dodo. All you gotta do is pick Kotol, have an Eggs, walk towards the lane, and Illuminate. And that's it. He has... Illuminate is like the best counter push spell in the entire game. And now it's up there with the best pushing spells in the game. Obviously, there's a difference. The difference lies in what the spell does, basically. So, I'll explain this kind of in a basic fashion. So, pushing spells are spells that are good at keeping your creeps alive so you can hit buildings, as well as helping clear the enemy creeps. While counter pushing is nothing more than heavy wave clear and potential harass. So counter push is stuff like Power Shot, Illuminate, it's like Maelstrom as an item. Kunkka's Tidebringer is decent at it too. And then pushing spells would be more stuff like Vengeful Spirit, just her entire kit together, with like a Ring of Basilius added on there. She's very good at pushing because she can debuff the enemy creep wave while buffing her creep wave. Stuff like that. So Kotol is, with an Aghanim Scepter, very good at both things. He's pretty much always been pretty good at both things, but now he's even better at the pushing. And so the entire time, like, my team is just kind of running around. This is the other thing that's great about Kotol. This is more on a pub side than like comp Dota side, but he's very, very good when you have an incompetent team. Reason being, he can always just get farm. So if we're looking at CS right now, the CS is super low for 30 minutes in. I have 124, which is like pretty damn high. I was trying to knock Slark onto the ledge, but I think I'm not sure what happened, but he died. And now Ogre's 100% out of mana. He literally can't cast a single spell. So now I'm just battling him, and I'm trying to get him to go that way, but he didn't. And then the team fight's going on down here. But like, if you look at the farm right now, the farm counts are really bad. Generally what you want to have in terms of farm by the 30-minute mark is 200 plus if you're like actually farming. Obviously this is a less farm-centric game, but as we can see, the highest 3 farmers are pretty low, and then I am 4th on the farm as a 4-position Kotol. A Kotol who took like 3 creeps during the laning phase. And here I'm just pulling Kunkka in. So this is, again, the power of recall. And then give him mana. So unfortunately we're pushing early. I want it to be 32 before we're actually pushing high ground, but we should be able to push it high ground without it. So that's what we're doing. Without the heal, that is. So this is also a dirty combo. Kunkka plus Kotol. Kunkka X's them, and then I mana leak, and then they lose a million mana. So unfortunately Slark is just destroying us now. And I tried to Blinding Light him back, but he just had another pounce. I should have TP'd way earlier. If I TP'd earlier, I would have gotten out. And then this TA. This bothered me greatly, because there's a gem on the floor, She respawned after the Aegis. She could grab the gem and run right now, but she didn't. Like, the SF actually got the gem, so I don't know, man. The SF was able to walk up and grab the gem. If she just right-clicked the gem from respawn and then blinked away, I think her blink should have been off cooldown. Did she even have a blink? Yeah, she does. No, she has a blink. So she should have been able to grab the gem and blink away. Just double tap blink to blink away, and then just run. And she should be able to get away pretty easy. But she decided to stand and die and just get hexed up immediately. I don't know. That bothered me. That was a bad play on her part. I think she could have definitely gotten the gem out. Hex. Going in. So, as you can see, the next thing I'm building is a sheep stick. I have so much gold, and we need more items. Sheep stick is very good against Slark as long as you time it well. It's also obviously very strong against BKB carries like Shadow Fiend, and it can be good against Nature's Prophet as well because it's just a good item against heroes who otherwise have no way of getting out, like heroes who rely on Shadow Blade, who rely on BKB, who rely on stuff like that to get out or to actually do something in a fight. Slark obviously doesn't, he doesn't rely on that, but he does need to actually be elusive to have an impact in fights. And if you turn him into a sheep, then he doesn't do that at all. So there, the Illuminate did a lot of damage and just healed these guys, so they weren't even in the Static Storm. Axe just throwing out calls. Recalling in the TA. And I even illuminated the wave, so the creeps died. Another X. And then I mana leak him, so if he wants to run away, he's going to lose a lot of mana. Illuminate hits him anyway, and then I bump the Slark away, and then the Slark just ends up getting destroyed. Here I'm channeling another Illuminate. As you can see, I'm also trying to make sure to keep my eye on the fight as much as possible, even if I'm not seeing myself, just so I can actually line up a good Illuminate. So they got the gem again because I'm out of slots, and we have like 5 heroes with slots, but nobody wanted to actually nobody actually wanted to pick up the gem, so whatever. Telling Kunkka to stay in the Illuminate. And as you can see, Kunkka goes from 0 hit points to like 30 to 40%. It's quite literally 2 mechs, so it's super strong. Obviously keep giving mana. Basically, Kotol has become a mobile fountain. This guy, I can't actually save him. The Ignite had too many ticks left. Basically, my options were to channel and Illuminate early and let it go long and hit him when he has 1 tick left from death, and that would have maybe barely saved him. Or release an immediate Illuminate when he's not moving at the very end there, which wouldn't have healed enough to save him. So here we're just cleaning up the second lane of racks. I'm making sure to keep mana on people. I say we can probably go throne, and then my team doesn't want to. Axe would rather farm creeps, which I farmed anyway. And then he ults a creep because he has nags. Unfortunately, it's going to hit nighttime soon. This drastically decreases our stayability right here, because I am no longer a fountain. I am, in fact, just gifting mana. So this Illuminate, as you can see, it's going to go 36, 3601, 3602, 3603. There's nighttime at 3604. So as you can see, it waits longer as the game goes on. So my Illuminate actually got released too late, I think, so it didn't actually heal our creeps. But it didn't matter anyway. They were going to clear them up regardless. So I could have at least put my ultimate orb on the courier a while ago. So that's definitely a mistake. I remember looking at it when I recalled the Kunkka, the courier was flying out, and I was like, oh, I should have put my ultimate orb on it. But I had this thing done for a long time. I could have just loaded it up. So the next item I'm going for is Force Staff. Force Staff is decent against Slark. Obviously, you can't force somebody out of the leash. Oh no, that's right. I just decided to go Boots of Travel, because Boots of Travel plus Recall is also insanely strong. I did want to go Force Staff though, and you know, Force Staff is pretty good against the enemy team. You can't force out of kinetic field or leash, but you can still Force Staff away from everything else. And as long as you have good timing, the Force Staff will still be really good. Look at that 6.81 buff right there. Look at those melee illusions taking less damage. I mean, that's pretty much what I called, right? I pretty much just straight called that the only guy it would affect would be Axe. So, I think that's pretty accurate of the way it works. So here we're just gearing up for a push. Unfortunately, we're still 2.5 minutes away from day again, so my Illuminate will not be very strong. However, there's a team fight happening here, and I'm going to get a nice Illuminate over the top, I think. Do I? No, a Blinding Light. Why did I Blinding Light? I thought Slark was there, I think. So Kunkka got out. Axe got out. Well, Kunkka dove deeper, but didn't die, so. Their Illuminate kills everything. Team is just Diverinoing. This is pretty much where the game is actually completely over. We kill the throne, I think, at 39-ish. 39 something. So yeah, game's pretty much over. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I played a lot of the game pretty well. I did a lot of cool plays. Obviously there are things to improve as always, and watching this replay helped me out a bunch. Let me just look at some graphs just to see, because there were definitely times where this game felt like we were losing. And yeah, early game we were losing on XP, mid game we were losing on gold, then took it back, then lost a lot of gold actually. But then we just kind of snowballed it backwards, back down. So, fun game. Team played a little bit too aggressively. Kotol, strong hero. And that's pretty much my thoughts on Kotol, as well as my experience in ranked last night. Just to spoil it, since obviously you know now that I won this game, we did actually, well, I actually won all 4 games of Kotol that I played last night. 4 of 4 wins. And I would say that that is an achievement. Especially for playing him just as a support. They were all really hard games, but they were still wins nonetheless. So as you can see, the final stats here. So thank you everybody for watching. That was a lot of fun.